All right. I think we're live. Hey, we're live. Hey, welcome. My name is Luke. This is going to be, it's going to be a live class, obviously, an English class. We're going to be doing some fun stuff, such as looking at a video from, I think, the 90s from Japan. An English video, which I think is extremely entertaining. But from it, I think we can learn some things. We can. I don't think we can. I know we can, for sure. And then I'll also be answering your questions about whatever you may have questions about, such as, I know I've said such as twice now already in such a short span of time, but I'm sorry. I apologize. Such as, that's the third time. Culture, pronunciation, grammar, whatever it may be. Differences between words, differences between whatever. Anything you want to do. All right? Hey, Lolly Lolly's here. Karina's here. Zippity doo dah. Daniel's here from Facebook. And CH. CH is here. It's a heck of a name. How do you pronounce that? Ch. Is that right? Hey, Ch, come here. I have a question for you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Ch. Is that how people sing? Is that how people sing? I'm not trying to make fun of your name. But I am pointing out that it's interesting. And I'm wondering how people sing happy birthday to you. So we'll wait a few minutes as people enter the class. Yes, welcome everyone. Welcome one, welcome all. This is live. Indeed, it is live. If it were not live, then how could I talk about your name? Wow, do you hear those sirens? A lot of sirens going by my house. I live in New York. We still have a lot of coronavirus cases happening here. And it's getting better. It's definitely improving, but it's still pretty severe compared to most other places in the world. The hospitals are still fairly burdened by it. Anyway, thank you all for joining. Now, I want to make sure you guys are getting questions ready, because we're going to talk about something and then I'm going to be answering questions. So I hope you have questions ready about whatever it may be. But before we get started with what I want to talk about first, I want to share with anyone who's watching this within a couple days of this posting, this live, or a couple days of watching this in the next few days. I want to do a quick offer, and this is not something I will do often. Okay, this is indeed a rare thing. I'm not learning Japanese. We're going to look at an old Japanese English language learning video. Kind of cultural appropriation. No, it could have been any video. I just want to look at it and use it as a learning thing. Cultural appropriation would be what? Me trying to take on a culture for myself. Although I don't necessarily have, because some people are really interested in Japan and like to get involved in the culture, and I don't necessarily see too much wrong with that. But no, I'm looking at a video. And if it offends you, then you can leave. Because I don't mean anything hurtful by it. I just think it's interesting. And I think we can learn from it. It's a good way to learn. Okay. So I want to just quickly send out an offer. Within 5 days, this is going to expire. And this is an offer for all of my courses. Okay, so I have now 10 courses which I've been working on for the last few years. They posted starting in 2016, and some of them are shorter, some of them are longer. I'm offering them for 90% off. 90% off. And So if you guys want to check that out, if you're interested, make sure you click on the link in the description. There's a link under this. It expires in a couple days. There are only 20 available, no more. So if it's expired, it's expired. They will run out, they will finish, and then there will be no more. 90% off the full package of courses. Normally it's pretty expensive, $399 for all the courses. So if you're interested in that, then check out that package. Very limited time thing, very limited number. So do that. Check out the link if you want. And Kat, this is a good test because if you're here to represent your community, you can let me know if this is offensive. I'm open to being educated about this kind of thing. I don't try to be offensive, but if it is offensive, just tell me, okay? This is a good test for me. I appreciate it. Okay. Fatima, I will go through your list very shortly. But first, I want to share this very interesting video. Okay, so I was browsing around the internet and I came across an English learning video which looks like it's from the 90s, from Japan. Now, we're going to watch it. We're going to watch the video and we're going to see what we can learn from it. But I was really surprised by the content of the video. Now, you're going to see it and you're going to think, what? An English video about that? About this very strange topic? It might surprise you. It's a bit weird. But then we're going to talk about whether or not it's correct and what we can actually learn from this structure of English, from this structure of grammar, how we can actually say a lot of things with this sort of pattern, sentence pattern. So let's take a look at this video. I don't know exactly where it's from. I don't know who originally made it. I don't know who the original audience was. This looks like it's 30 years old. Old style Japanese English language learning video. And so I hope that you enjoy it. Let's check it out.
Call an ambulance, please.
Okay, hold on. Where does it hurt?
My stomach. ちゃんと痛いけど痛い。
救急車を呼んでもらったからといって安心はできません。しっかりと自分の状態を相手に伝えましょう。
I have a bad case of diarrhea.
私はひどい下痢です。
I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea.
I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea.
肩に手を乗せ I have クロスして a bad case お腹をさすって of diarrhea ジェスチャーゲームの要領です。感情を込めてやってみましょう。
I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea.
Okay. All right. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, this you might. Okay. So first, let's just clarify the terms. All right. Diarrhea. Someone saying they have a bad case of diarrhea. This is when you have to go to the bathroom, and usually it's an emergency, and usually it's kind of painful, right? It's usually pretty gross. Let's say it's a special stomach situation. And usually it's caused by maybe a stomach virus or some other thing that's going on in your stomach or in your digestive system. Now, what's unusual about this? Well, it's unusual that you would have a song and a dance about going to the bathroom. We say going number 2, right? It's unusual to have a dance about that, to have girls dancing and singing about going to take a poop, right? That's a little unusual, but I want to actually defend this video because I think there's a lot to pull out from it. And I think that dancing, although it is weird and kind of strange, a strange thing to do, it does make it stick in your head, right? And that is a useful pattern. I have something of something. It's actually extremely useful. Now, I have to say, it's a little bit unusual, well, quite unusual, to talk about diarrhea in that way. If a stranger walks up to you and you're not feeling well, you'll just say, I'm not feeling so well, I need to go, right? Or I don't feel so good, or my stomach doesn't feel so good, I have to go. You probably won't say, I have diarrhea. Usually when we don't feel well, we don't tell people, I have diarrhea, right? That's not common. Now, you might do that if it's a close family member, right? Or a close friend. Oh, they have to go. Why? What? Diarrhea, right? And then we probably won't sing about it, but the girls dancing probably don't have diarrhea, so they can sing and dance about it, I guess. Anyway, the important thing is to talk about this structure because it's very useful, this pattern. I have a something case of, or a something of something. So we could say case, but we can say other things as well. Let's look at a couple other examples of things that we can say which follow this same pattern, this same style. And then hopefully this song, which was sticking after I saw this video in my head for a few hours, and now will probably stick in my head again for another few hours after this video. Let's look at a few. So we could say, for example, if we wanted to use the exact same thing, I have, and then so is going to come before a noun. But we want to use an adjective before a noun, so we'll say bad. Let's use bad for this one. I have a bad case. We can even use case of, and then we can say some other ailment. Diarrhea, not so common. How about I have a bad case of the flu? Sorry, I can't come into work. I have a bad case of the flu. Perfectly common, perfectly natural, perfectly normal. How about this? I have a bad case of allergies. Sure, that's actually very common. I often in the autumn have a very bad case of seasonal allergies. You could change the adjective. You could say a terrible case of allergies. That's fine as well. But we don't have to use only negative things, and we don't have to use only case. We can put other nouns in there as well. We could say, for example, I have or had a moment of confusion. So that's a noun, the moment thing, right? And if we wanted to add something in front of it, we could say a small moment of confusion. I had a small moment of confusion before I realized what was going on. Same basic pattern. A small adjective, moment, noun, of, and then the type of thing that we had, that we experienced. Of what? Of confusion, right? I have a tasty cup of coffee. Or I had would probably be more, I guess I could say have, because I do have a tasty cup of coffee. I had or I have a tasty cup of coffee. Tasty, adjective, cup, noun, of, and then we say, usually, our uncountable noun after it. Okay? We could say, they had some old, adjective, boxes of photos. They had some old boxes of photos. Same structure, same pattern, except we're changing out I for they. We're changing out small, or we're changing out bad for old. We're then using the first noun, we're using boxes, and then of, and here we're using a countable noun, photos, but we're using it in the plural, right? Usually we'll either use an uncountable noun, like, for example, confusion, or we will use a countable noun that is in the plural form, like photos. Now, what about diarrhea? Is that countable or uncountable? And we don't say one diarrhea, two diarrhea, so it is uncountable for diarrhea. But again, we won't usually say that to people in public, right? On a park bench, outside, a stranger approaching you. You won't tell them you have diarrhea. Maybe in Japan, I don't know, but in America we wouldn't say that in English. Last one we could use, maybe we could say, we have a few more days left of vacation. Now, this is a little bit more complicated, but it's still the same basic thing. We have a few more days left of vacation. Or we could say we have a few more days of vacation left. Doesn't matter, it's the same thing. We have a few more days of vacation left. That means left means remaining, okay? Same structure, same pattern. Now, it would be cool if we could have another dance where we did all of these sentences to remember them. My suggestion is that you keep the diarrhea dance in your mind as a way to remember the pattern, but just remember that that thing is not that common. Instead, it's much more common to say other things that are a little bit less embarrassing, okay? So, we're probably going to look, if you guys like these videos, we're probably going to look at more like this in the future because this is part of a series that I found, and there are a lot of interesting old English learning videos that I think we can sort of look at and analyze and pick out. I personally think it's an interesting thing to do. If you think so as well, or you don't, let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button if you like the videos. If you don't, then you know what to do. And also, why not leave a comment if you have other videos you'd like me to check out in the future, okay? Leave a comment. Okay. All right. What do you guys think of that? Cat, offensive? Was I horribly offensive? Moderately? Mildly? None at all? I gotta know. Luke, could you please help me with AINT and how to use it? I've already done a video about that pretty recently, so I'm going to avoid that one and ask you to, you of all people, to check the clips. Check the clips. So I usually clip out sections of the live streams that we do, and so actually I think it was a month ago or so I talked about Aint and how to use it, Paulson. So that one is there. I'm just going to avoid talking about it because I talked about it so recently. I feel like someone who's watching who saw that and has seen the clip might sort of feel bored. Lolly Lolly gave me a thumbs down. Oh no. How sad. How sad, Lolly Lolly. Okay. Mary McCain, a little sleeping disorder, Lolly Lolly. Hi, Mary McCain. How are you? Hi, Luke. I'm really glad you're coming back. Have you been... How have you been doing? I've been doing okay. Probably sleeping not enough, but still not too bad. Lolly Lolly says, I have a bad case of laziness. Perfect. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mano says, WTF. Yeah, that's how I felt when I first saw that video. WTF. Okay. Now, I'm going to pop up Fatima's here because she does these, and I think we've done now 4, right? So since this is 4, I think we can actually start a playlist with 4. But hopefully you'll come back for the next one and we can do another, we can continue to add to the playlist. That's my plan. Fatima Books is the only person I will make a playlist for. Because, and the only person I will do these for because they're sort of, it's not one difference between this and this. It's sort of an intense session of differences, which I find challenging and interesting. So I appreciate them, even if my explanations could be better if aided by a dictionary or a thesaurus. Still, I like to try my best. Okay. Have I missed any other good comments here? All right. Pop up this one. Why can't I pop up Fatima Books' comment? Why isn't it staying up? There we go. All right. It's up. Cool. Wait, does that mean you're into Asian girls too? Well, I guess so, because my wife is Asian, so yeah. You could say that. I'm married to one. I guess you have to be into someone. But I mean, can I say that it's that Asianness is the criteria? No. I mean, when you're choosing to marry someone, there are many different factors, right? Is it a good personality fit? Is there attraction? Do you like to be together? Do you understand each other well? Do you have the same values? I mean, there's so many different things. And so I wouldn't say yes to that in such a simple way. But on the other hand, I am married to a Chinese lady named Mushroom. Yosef, how long does it take to learn English? That is a difficult question to answer because I don't know what you mean by learn English. What do you mean? Do you mean learn every word in the language? In which case it would take you a lifetime to learn half of them. Do you mean speak fluently and naturally? Well, then it depends on the type of person, your personality, and how hard you work. If you say, it takes this long to do this, you're assuming that every human being is the same. But that's not true. Some people learn faster than others. Some people use better methods than others. Some people are smarter than others. Some people have a more open sort of way of looking at things than others. And so any answer to that with a time, 6 months, is ridiculous, okay? If anyone ever tells you, you will be able to do this in 6 months, it's probably clickbait, okay? I think you'll probably see a video from me upcoming called Learn English, Master English in 30 Seconds. And the only reason I'm making it is to point out the fact that that's ridiculous, right? But it's ironic because that's the title of the video. Anyway, that's my plan. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So let's talk about Fatima Books' question. Fatima Books returns and says, "Hi, Mr. Luke." Mr. Luke? Oh, a mister. I'm a mister. All right, I'll take it. This is my 4th time sharing with you. Please teach us the nuances of these words and how to use them. Employment versus work, career versus job, function versus task, and hire versus employ. Okay, these are good. So there's a kind of theme here that Fatima is suggesting. The theme seems to be something like professional, workplace, employment related, something like that, which is nice. Okay, so let's explore these one by one, starting with employment versus work. Okay. Now, these two have an overlap. We've talked about this before, but I often mention the Venn diagram of words, right? The Venn diagram of words means you have two words which are called synonyms, which means they have the same meaning. But really, that looks like this, meaning that they overlap in a place, but that they have their own totally separate meanings. Because if someone says, well, that is a beautiful work of art, can we say, what is a beautiful employment of art? No, ridiculous. So absolutely, employment and work are different, but there is territory that is shared by both of them. What is the territory? All right, so sometimes people will ask you what you do, right? They won't say, what is your employment? But they might say, what do you do for work? What do you do for work? And your answer might be something like, my work is, or I'm employed by a tech startup and we build blah, 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 right? I'm employed by, I work in, so these can be related. Now, employment is a general state of having a job that allows you to be hired. Usually, employment is as the worker, your relationship to the employer, who's the one who's paying you to do work. Now, this gets a little tricky when we talk about things like freelance, because freelance is when you do things individually for different people. For example, you're a designer, you do a project for this company and that company. Are you being employed by each company that you do a project for or you do work for creatively? Well, we usually say no. That's why we call it freelance. But we could call it freelance work as opposed to freelance employment. So that's one difference. Employment focuses on that long-term relationship between the employer, the one paying you, and the worker, who are in a sort of, it doesn't have to be a contract, but it's a sort of contract or long-term engagement, which requires usually agreeing on healthcare benefits, agreeing on when you're going to go to work every day, the hours that you have to work, whether or not you have dental and vision insurance with the company, all kinds of things like that, your responsibilities. That complex relationship is considered your employment, and the person or the company that you work for is called your employer, and you are called an employee. So we have these three words to talk about this relationship. Employment is the overall whole relationship thing, you working at this place in a kind of permanent way, although of course you could quit. And then employer, employee. The one working, the one being paid, the one who's employed you, the one paying you to do specific work, usually on an ongoing basis, assuming that it's not a temporary thing, like freelance. Now, work is so much more general, right? That employer, employment, employee thing, that's pretty specific. Work is very general. Freelance work, yes. When we're actually doing work at our job, yes, I'm employed, but I don't, when I'm doing the work, say I have so much employment to do. I say I have so much work to do. The stuff we have to get done is the work that we have to do. So work doesn't focus on the relationship between me and the employer. Now, we kind of could suggest it if we say my work is in finance or something like that. Yes, I suppose that could suggest the employer-employee relationship. But really the focus is on what do you do? What is the kind of thing that you have to do day to day? Right? Do you have to analyze things and then make models and make recommendations about how to invest money if you're in finance? Okay, that's the kind of work you do. What work do? I make videos and I make courses to help people improve their English. That's what work I do. Should I say that that's my employment? Well, I could say generally that I'm self-employed in that way. That's actually a common term that people use. I'm self-employed. But if I say self-employed, I'm not really talking about or focusing on the work. I'm focusing on the relationship of myself to myself, right? In other words, I'm kind of my own boss. That's the focus. So it's more similar to when we were talking about employment. Work, again, focusing on the things that you're doing, the kind of stuff that you do, that we say, work on. And as I mentioned earlier with the painting, once you finish something, sometimes we say, for example, a work of art. I'm so busy today. I have so much work to do. I'm sorry. I can't help you. I just have so much work to do. Okay, so that's generally the difference between those two. That's what they feel like. Now, how about career and job? Now, these also have overlap. Generally speaking, career is the kind of work that you do, and job is a specific type of employment or a specific period of employment within a career. Usually when we talk about a career, we're not talking about a certain job. We're talking about the kind of job throughout maybe your whole lifetime or throughout a specific period of work. Let's say, for example, I decided I didn't want to teach English anymore. I wanted to stop and I wanted to do something else. So I would say, for example, I'm going to change careers. I've been doing English teaching for a long time. Let's say I worked at this company and that company, and I was self-employed. I had many different jobs in this career, and then I decided to end and do something else. I decided to open a flower store. This is my new career. I'm a florist. Okay, right? That's my new career. But as a florist, maybe first I work at a flower shop, and then I work in a flower factory, and then I open my own little flower shop or flower arrangement store. Right? So the career is the bigger picture, the track of this thing. It could be your whole life, but it doesn't have to be because, as I mentioned, you can change careers. Education in languages is different from flowers. It would be hard to combine those, but you could if you really tried hard. But that's the focus, is this whole track. Within that, then there might be different kinds of employment. There might be employment with a certain employer, which would be your job. My job right now is I'm working as an English teacher at this school. I've been working there for 6 months. That's my job. What's your job? That's my job. Okay. What's your career? I'm an English teacher. My last job was in China, and now I'm working on my own. I'm self-employed. Okay. That's your job now. So jobs change, careers are more steady and long-term. That's generally the difference, right? People at parties or when you meet people, they don't say, what's your career? They might say, what's your job? What's your job? Or they might say, what do you do? So the focus will be on what is the thing now, not the whole big, giant picture. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, now let's talk about function versus task. Now these are actually very different, function versus task. If we're talking about this trend or this theme of people working in companies, then the function of something is what it does, and the function of a role is what the role is for. Now, the reason I say role is that I don't want to say that a person has a function. Sometimes that can make it seem like the person is a little bit of a robot. Sometimes people do say that, what's my function here? But it can come across as a little bit mechanical and robotic. So generally speaking, we would say that a role, whoever's in the role, has a function. The function of this role is to make sure when people have concerns about their healthcare benefits that someone is there to explain to them how it works. This is the function of this role. Okay? Now, there is a person in the role. Yes, that's true, but we don't say your function here often. Sometimes that can be a little bit like, you're a robot, do this thing. You're not even a person. Sometimes it can feel that way. But we could say the function of a role. However, you can talk about functions of all kinds of things. You can say, for example, the function of a machine. What does the machine do? You could say, what is the function of this process that we have? This hiring process that we have. You could say, what is the function of our meetings that we have? Why do we have these meetings? What is their function? What does it do? What's it for? Why is it there? In other words, function is about purpose. Function is about what something accomplishes. Okay? And we should be a little bit careful about using it for people. Now, task is a specific thing that you do. Task is not the same as job always, but can be closely related. If we say, for example, my job today is to finish this giant stack of paperwork. Okay, so that is a task. That's a task. It's one specific thing. Now, we use job in two different ways. One is a job of today I have to do this thing, this large stack of paperwork. But also we say my job is in finance, or what's your job? My job is I'm a civil engineer. That's my job. Okay, so job is our employment, but it's also today I have to do this. Well, that could be a task as well. Today I have to do this. It's a specific thing that you have to do. Tasks can be very small. A task could be, please go over there and tell Henry that I need blah, blah, blah by 6 p.m. and then come back and tell me what he said. That's a task which could take 30 seconds. So it's a specific thing that you're trying to accomplish. Usually it's not something that's long-term, days, weeks, months. It's more like a today thing or a 5 minutes thing or a go get me a cup of coffee type thing. That's generally how we think about tasks. Now, last one is hire versus employ. So employ, we talked about employee, employer, employment. We talked about this, right? So we know what the relationship is. We're talking about the relationship between the worker getting paid and the one doing the paying, right? So when we say employ, we're talking about a verb that the person paying is doing to the recipient of the money who's doing the work. Okay? But that is not just a momentary thing. That is an ongoing thing. I employ 39 people. What does that mean? In an ongoing way, I pay 39 people to work for me and do what I tell them to do, or at least help me do what I need to do, right? I'm the one paying them to do that. 39 people work for me. I employ 39 people. 39 people are employed by me. I employ 39 people. Okay, so it's a verb that talks about that relationship of payment and work. Whereas if we say hire, it's just a momentary thing. You're hired. you're not hired, and then time goes along, you have an interview, they choose you, you're hired, and then as soon as you're hired, then you're employed. So hired is the switch or the trigger or the thing, the moment from going to not employed to employed, going from not working at this company to working at this company, right? And so it's not a state like employed is. Employed is a condition. It's a state. Hired is a momentary thing. It's a transitional verb, and that's how we use it. I got hired. Oh, great. Are you continuously being hired? No. No, you're not. It's a momentary transitional thing from one condition, one state to another. Hopefully all of those are clear. Once again, Fatima Books, some challenging differences. I look forward to the next ones. We're going to be adding these to a playlist because now we have 4. So if you're interested in checking out the others, make sure that you subscribe and check out that playlist. And also make sure you hit the like button. I would deeply, genuinely appreciate that. And also don't forget to check out my full courses in the links in the description. Okay. My God. Difficult. Good one. Hello, Fangu. Hopefully that was clear. Hassan, Jackie. Hello. Welcome. I hope I answered your questions satisfactorily, Fatima Books. As usual, you asked some good ones. Yoon Young Lee is here. Good. Excellent. So if you guys have any other questions, I'm just going to review to see if I missed any. Thanks for what you do. In the last live lesson, you advised me to read $100 Startup, and I already read 200 pages. Can you suggest some other books? Ma DZ, can you tell me, do you like this kind of book? Sort of books about business, books about leadership, books about self-improvement, that sort of thing? I can look at my other books here. I feel like I have a lot of books on the topic. So let me just mention a couple off the top of my head, okay? So first, I would recommend a book called, if you haven't already read it, I mean, it's a very common book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's an amazing book about how to talk to people so that rather than immediately having a reaction to you and perhaps turning against you mentally, they are open and willing and want to help you and do things with you and for you, and there's a better relationship between you and others. It's a great book. It's an old one, but it's a great one, and I would strongly recommend it. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you like, if you like books about leadership, then I can suggest a book called, and I've recommended this one before, but it's called Multipliers. Whoops, I keep hitting my camera. Sorry, guys. Let's do that. It's a book called Multipliers. Now, Multipliers is about how to, if you are a manager or a leader or a supervisor, how to get people to feel around you, not that they are employed by or working with a micromanager, which is usually considered a bad thing, but how to instead make them feel like they are energized by your presence and they want to do their best work and they feel excited to come to work every day and they don't feel exhausted by dealing with their crazy boss, right? How to be basically a good boss and a good manager. So that's called Multipliers, and I think it's by a lady named Liz Weissman, who worked at Oracle for many years, and then How to Win Friends, Influence People, Win Friends and Influence People. And then there's another great book that I would recommend if you're interested in things like marketing, which is called The Power of Habit. Is it habit or habits? The Power of Habit, The Power of Habits. And it's about developing your own good habits, but it's also about marketing and advertising and how to make people want to, they give many examples in the book, make people want to buy something or change their routine or change their habits so that maybe a product that you're trying to market or sell is interesting to them, right? And then there's one more if you're interested in marketing, which I really like, called Blue Ocean Strategy. Blue Ocean Strategy, I believe is what it's called. It's a classic. And even if you're not interested in marketing and business, it's just a sort of mind-opening book about how to approach a problem from a new perspective, from a new vantage point. The last one I can recommend, since you read $100 Startup, is a book about also startups. It's called 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. I think it's called 0 to 1, not from 0 to 1. It could be from 0 to 1, but I think it's just 0 to 1. 0, not the number 2, but 0 and then TO to 1, which is about doing a startup company, starting your own business, and it's pretty short but extremely, extremely good. One of the first books I read on the topic, which I would strongly recommend. If that's not what you're interested in, then let me know. I might be able to recommend other books as well. I read a lot, so I can recommend books. One question. What do you must use the D words, issue, and problem? What do you must use the D words, issue, and problem? I'm sorry, I can't understand the question. I apologize. I don't understand the meaning. I'm sorry. Up there's a question. Oh, I've missed a question? Oh, no. Could you please, Mary McCain says, could you please talk about the difference? Oh, more differences. Great. You're trying to kill me. Hey, Luke, what's the major difference between Canadian versus American and British accent? Okay. I'm probably not qualified to say. If you read a book and understand about 80% of its contents, should I translate the rest of the new words and understand every word of it? Or how can I learn or improve my English reading? If you can understand... Okay, this is actually something I would like to share. So, Ma DZ says, if you read a book and understand about 80% of its content, should I translate the rest of the new words and understand every word of it? Or how can I learn or improve my English by reading? Now, reading is, of course, a great way to learn vocabulary, but you have to take advantage of why it's a great way to learn vocabulary, which is because it's in context. If you see a word, you're seeing it in the sentence. If you see something in a sentence, then you know how it's used. If you know how it's used, you can get a feeling for using it yourself. Now, if you then say, but 20% I don't understand, I'm going to translate those immediately. The problem is, potentially, some people maybe can do it, but potentially the problem is, now you've looked at a meaning in your own language, which doesn't exactly map. And in fact, a lot of words map maybe the basic meaning, but you can't really get the nuances or the feeling, the connotation of the word across when you translate, right? So that's what you have to be careful about. And that's why I would recommend not doing that. Because if you say, all right, translate this word to this word, all right, that means this word always equals this word. We've just been talking about the Venn diagram, where words sometimes mean the same thing as another word, but then they have other uses and meanings too. So if you just say, this word in my language is this word, all the time, there it is, I now know it. No, that's wrong. It's not. It's not. There's so many examples. It might be similar in this situation to the word that you looked up, but then that word in your language probably has all kinds of other social connotative meanings that are completely different from the English word that you just found in this book. And this word in this book means this thing only in this situation, but means something completely different in another situation. So now you're stuck in this sort of weird situation or this weird space of thinking that this word is exactly the same as the word in your language, which it isn't. It definitely isn't, 99% of the time. So, that's why I recommend not translating. That's the reason. Better. If you can understand 80% of a book, surely you can understand a simple explanation, definition in a dictionary. Surely you can. So, what you should do is go to an all-English dictionary, like thefreedictionary.com, my favorite. Go there, vocabulary.com, also good, and read the definition in English and try to understand it in English. And then, perhaps even more importantly, read the examples that are given underneath. Because if you do that, you're going to see, wait a second, this word that I'm looking up only has the meaning of what I thought it meant in this book 10% of the time. And the rest of the 90% of the time, this word has completely different meanings. Here's an example of the word in a completely different usage. Here's an example of the word that means something opposite of what's in the book. Wow, it's opening my eyes to the possibilities of this word. And because you're looking at those in example sentences, and that's the reason I recommend the free dictionary, because they give a lot of good example sentences with each meaning of the word. Now you can begin to use the word more fully and understand it more fully. Now, don't tell me that dictionaries are too hard, it's so easy to translate. Don't tell me that. If you can understand 80% of that book that you're reading, then I'm sorry, you can understand a dictionary. You can understand the free dictionary and the examples that they give. And there are no excuses for not doing it other than laziness and bad habits. So, yes, look up the words, but use an English dictionary to do it. Get a feeling for each word. Otherwise, you're not making progress. You're probably hurting progress. You're getting in your own way because of your old habits. Get rid of your old habits, make new, better habits, and improve more quickly that way. It'll be difficult at first, but once you get used to it, you will find that you're improving significantly faster than you were before, because before you were thinking in your language and you were relating everything back to your language. And then every time you had a conversation in English, you had to bring your language with it, and it made you feel exhausted every single time. And that's not good. If you want to be a good English speaker, you have to start thinking in English. And what better way to do that than to start building an all-English language learning environment for yourself, beginning with reading books in English and looking up words in all English dictionaries. So hopefully that's clear. That's very important, especially if you want to start thinking in English. If you have any questions about this, guys, leave a comment. Also, I would appreciate it if you could hit the like button. Hit that like button with your finger, with your thumb, with your nose, I don't care. And also subscribe if you want to see future videos. That's it. Explain the difference between to and toward. Guys, I will not be explaining another differences today. I just don't want to. I'm sorry. I know you guys are like asking though, what's the difference between I will do some. I keep kicking my camera. I will do sometimes. But that is the most boring type of question for me personally. Now you might say, "Oh, that's selfish." Yeah, that's true. But you know what? I do this because I enjoy it, and I want my enjoyment hopefully is important to me as your enjoyment is, right? It's important to me that you enjoy watching the live streams, but it's just as important that I enjoy them. So if I see a question that I think is boring or not interesting, I probably won't talk about it because it's boring. Sorry. Quick tip. Word differences. I'm less likely to talk about those unless your name is Fatima Books and you've come up with a carefully sculpted package of them that fit together nicely, right? Do you agree that Asians are more conservative? I think it's hard to make such a broad generalization. Not necessarily. No, I wouldn't necessarily agree. Where do I start to learn English? Well, I think you've already started, right? Here you are in an English lesson, live stream. Watch videos, start reading, get in an online community, check out Reddit, start getting into the immersion of the English language, and I think you'll find after that you'll have interests that you can connect to English, and once you connect your interests to the language, then you'll want to explore. Oh, I'm in this Reddit community that I really like. Oh, I'm playing video games, all in English, and I'm enjoying sort of the people that I am killing, talking to the people that I kill in PUBG or whatever it is, right? You have a window into the language. I'm reading a book that I want to know about how to start my own business. So I love reading this book, $100 Startup or whatever it may be, right? So just start. You don't have to make a grand plan. You don't have to say, oh, first I'm going to build out a huge plan of how I'm going to improve. No, just jump in, start swimming around, and you'll figure it out as you go, for sure. For sure. Luke, what do you think of having movie lessons when we watch a movie together and you explain everything sentence by sentence? We can start from your favorite one. That sounds like a great way to get my videos banned from any platform. Yeah, so for example, YouTube, it doesn't work like that. You can't just say watch a video together, a movie together especially, and say let's watch this movie and talk about it. The video would immediately be blocked or demonetized, and so it's just not possible. We've done that kind of before in the WhatsApp group, but in the WhatsApp group, I think I chose the wrong movie. Maybe we can try it again in the future. But it wasn't a video. We just sort of all watched it and then talked about it a little bit. Mary McCain says, I don't mind, Luke. This is your channel. This is your policy. It's not a policy. I put my questions down here. If you find it interesting, answer it. Otherwise, it is okay. Thanks for your understanding, Mary McCain. I don't mean to be prickly. I just want to explain why I didn't recognize the question. That's all. And no harm, no foul. I don't know. Sometimes just not up to it. Just not up to it. So the type of questions that might be very productive would be something like pronunciation difficulties, specific grammar questions, difficulties with grammar, right? Cultural things that you've heard that you're not sure if they're true or not, or you want me to talk about those. Maybe, for example, you've seen a word in a context. Hey, Luke, what does this word mean in this sentence? Something like that can be a good way to sort of explore the language a little bit more deeply. But it's a two-way street. Give me a second, guys. I need to drink some water. WWELOVERZ says, hey man, I speak little English. That's okay. Can you please tell us what the front part of the foot is called? If you can show it on cam, I will try to explain which part. I hope you understand, brother. You want me to show you guys my foot? Well, I can talk about the pieces of the foot. Dutch Propaganda says your audio and your video are horribly offset. Is that true, guys? Those of you watching elsewhere, is it just on Twitch, or is that true also on YouTube and Facebook? Are my mouth and my voice not lined up? If so, let me know. That's good to know. Yeah, you're watching on Twitch, so I'm trying to figure out, is that true on only Twitch, Or is it also true on Facebook and YouTube? Okay. So let's talk about... I'll see if we can talk about the foot. And we could talk about... So, front part, you know. I don't know if that's top. All right, well, let's just try. Let's see what we can do. And guys, I apologize if my voice is not lined up. I'm seeing that from Dutch Propaganda, which is a great name, by the way. Guys, can you let me know if my voice and my mouth are not lined up correctly? I would appreciate that, because I'm not checking it right now. I'm not able to see if they're lined up. It always looks not lined up to me because I'm seeing a delay, but that's always there. So let me know. Okay. WWE Lovers says, can you please tell us what the front part of the foot is called? If you can show it on cam, I will try to explain which part I hope you understand. All right. Now, first of all, I'm not flexible enough. When I was a yoga teacher, I think I could have done it, but I'm not flexible enough to bring my foot up high enough to show you, I think, to my face, right? That would be hard. I'm out of practice, unfortunately. And that's my fault, WWE Lovers, not yours. That's my fault for not being flexible enough to show you my foot. Also, I'm wearing socks, so I'd have to take... Anyway, let's just try to use our imaginations, okay? So most of us have feet. Some of us don't. Some of us do. And so we can picture a foot, and we can sort of describe the pieces. It's actually interesting. I think we can talk about feet and hands a bit here, because they're different. When you look at a hand, you talk about a couple things. You talk about the parts of the hand, but also a different name for the hand depending on what the hand is doing. Now, that might sound confusing, but let's just talk about it, and then we'll talk about the feet. Okay, so starting with this, we have this area here, which is called your palm. It's called your palm, okay? And when you have this sort of open shape, we say it's an open palm, P-A-L-M, palm, like palm tree, okay? If you close it like this, like you're going to punch someone, then we call it a fist. So in both cases, it's a hand, but the shape of it will determine the name. Open palm, open hand, you could say that too. Closed hand or fist. Make a fist. All right. Now, how about the different fingers? Well, we have special names for each one. This one is called the pinky. This one is called the ring finger. This one, the middle one, is called the middle finger. And you could give someone a middle finger. This one is called the index finger, I-N-D-E-X finger. This one is called, I think you know, your thumb. Your thumb. Front, back. Front of the hand, back of the hand. We don't really say top or bottom. We usually say front, back. Back of the hand. You slap someone with the back of your hand. Right? If you're playing tennis, you're a crazy backhand. Backhand. Now, if it's going like this, we don't call it front hand. We call it forehand. But anyway, back, front. Now, we also have here these, which are called your fingertips. Fingertips. That doesn't mean the prints. Those are the prints are on the tips, but the tips are just the front part of the fingers. The back, obviously, fingernails. Okay. So that's generally how we talk about the hand. And the bones that bend, they are generally called joints, but that's a joint too, and these are joints. These are called knuckles, the bending points, and this is the wrist. Now, if we go down to the foot, now I'm not able to show you, but I can use my hand. Now imagine that this is a foot, okay? Can you do that? With very long, creepy toes. No, we don't say thumb on the foot. We no longer use the same words. We don't say middle finger. Well, that would be weird. Index toe. We don't do that. Okay. Big toe, second toe, third toe. Sometimes middle toe, and then we don't say ring toe. We just say fourth toe, and then we might say. Sometimes people say pinky toe, or sometimes people say piggy toe. Sometimes people say pinky toe. Sometimes people say piggy toe, And sometimes people say fifth toe. So you could use all of those. Those are all okay. Now, if we're back at the foot, we would say that this is not the front of the foot, but is the top of the foot. And then here is the bottom. The bottom of your foot, or the sole of your foot, and then the top of your foot, right? We use the same word for shoes. The bottom part of your shoe you call the sole of your shoe. Now, this part of your foot, that hard, tough part, the back part, is your heel. You push down with your heel. We use the same word for an end of a piece of bread. We say the heel of the loaf of bread. The heel of the loaf of bread, right? It's called the heel, okay? And then, as I mentioned, this part you could call your arch. You could have high arches or low arches. Some people with low arches, for example, need to get surgery to fix them. That means the foot is rather flat. You could say you have flat feet, or you have low arches. And some people have to wear special shoes because they have low arches, okay? Now, for the nails, we just say toenails. Toenails, okay? Clipping your toenails. Make sure you clip your toenails. But if you paint your toenails, sometimes that's called a pedicure instead of painting your toenails. Pedicure, okay? Now the bendy part, the wrist for the joint between the foot and the leg, that's called your ankle. So I know this is a lot of words. That's it, though, for hands and feet. That's pretty much it. There are a few more things that we could talk about, but those are the general words you need to know for the hands and the feet. Now, we don't usually have a special word like fist for foot because I don't know anybody who can make a fist with their foot. If you can, if you're able to grab a tree branch with your foot like a monkey, I'm impressed deeply, and I want to meet you and shake your foot. All right. So if you guys have questions about any of that, if anything is not clear, let me know in the comments. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and also check out my courses in the links in the description. Okay. The stuff you talk about is so funny. Oh, thank you. But what's funny about talking about feet and hands? Very important stuff. I hope I answered your question, WWE. Middle finger. Oh, congratulations. That's wonderful. Yeah. Maybe if you use a camera. But I can't just suddenly move my camera. That would cause chaos. The setup I have right now is not particularly easy to move around. It's very stable and fixed. I hope I answered your question, though. Guys, I do want to just mention one thing quickly. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, some people may have missed this, but I'm doing a special sale. The courses, all of my courses, 10 courses. Some are 3 hours long at minimum, some 6, some 7, some 15 hours long. Well, one 15 hours long. All of my courses, which on my website cost $399 together, the package of all of the courses is now 90% off. Discounted 90%. But I've only made 20 discount coupons available. That means that once those 20 discount coupons are gone, then they're gone. There won't be any more. Okay? So if you want to access all of my courses for 90% off, then check out the link in the description. That will run out very soon, so hurry up. 20 remaining, only 20. I only made 20, no more. So the first 20 people who grab it, get it, 90% off. And if you miss it, you missed it. I don't know. I don't know when I'll do one again. Maybe never. Who knows? But yeah, go get it. And it expires in, if you're watching this way later, I think it's 4 days. I think it expires in 4 days. Now is May 26th, so it'll expire, I think, at the end of May 2020. Just so you know, I will subscribe to this channel now. Very helpful, thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate that. Kat says, I'm curious, do you prefer tan lines or an even tan? I guess if you have an even tan, what does that mean? I guess it means you're a nudist. I guess I don't really have a preference. I know it seems like I'm answering your questions with some neutrality, but I don't think I have any preference. Yeah. I think both can look great. I stay out of the sun altogether. I'm very light skinned and I'm very sensitive to the sun. I burn very easily. I have to wear sunscreen every time I go out, so yeah, well, okay. I guess that's for that period of time you're a nudist. Anyway, hello, make more pronunciation videos, please. Yeah, ask more pronunciation questions, please. How about that? How about them apples? Can I ask something for American culture? Yoon Young Lee says, who's I think now in the WhatsApp group, if I ask a letter of recommendation to someone in general, do I give a gift to him or her to express thanks? This is a very good question. This is a very good question. I like it a lot. If you can make a video explanation of foot parts later, it would be very helpful. I'm starting to suspect that you've got a thing for feet, WWE lovers. And I think it's great. I think it's fine. I think, there's nothing wrong with a foot. Personally speaking, I don't get the whole... There's a website. I can't remember what it's called, but I saw it on a podcast and they were looking at it. But there's a... Well, people are different and different people are interested in different body parts, right? For whatever reason. Some people are more attracted to someone's shoulders, right? Or someone's back. They like to look at someone's back, and that's what attracts them, right? For guys or girls, right? Some people are attracted to maybe face shape of face, right? Or hair, or whatever it is, eyebrows, whatever it happens to be. Some people are into legs, right? Legs are very important, right? There's this endless variety of different preferences. Some people are into feet. I don't know if that's the case for WWE lovers. I don't know. But I find it interesting. In the podcast I saw, there's a website that catalogs famous people's feet. They find all examples that they can of any famous person you could possibly search. And in the podcast, I was just watching it. They were looking up different people. And amazingly, they find pictures of their feet for people who like feet. Interesting. I think it's interesting. What's the difference between sat and sat down? So confusing. I might skip that one. My apologies. My apologies. I'm going to answer Yoon Young Lee's question. If you have specific questions, about pronunciation, you should ask, and then we can talk about that as well. Okay. So let's talk about this recommendation letter thing. This is a good one. Yoon Young Lee says, can I ask for something for American culture? Can I ask something for American culture? Maybe we could say, can I ask something about American culture? If I ask a letter of recommendation for a letter of recommendation from someone in general, do I give a gift to him or her? Okay. The answer is generally no. The only thing you need to do is write a thank you, probably email, to that person. Okay? Gratitude is all that you need. If you give a gift to them, then it might make them feel uncomfortable that you gave something to them because they did something for you, right? A favor that's supposed to be usually something that they do with no reward in mind, right? So it's actually kind of inappropriate to give a gift. If you did it, it wouldn't be a crime or anything terrible, but it would be a little odd to say, thank you for the recommendation letter. Here's a gift card to Applebee's, right? I would feel if someone did that for me and I write recommendation letters fairly regularly, I would feel uncomfortable if someone gave me some gift, no matter what it was. It would make me feel like now the relationship between us is kind of negatively affected. Like I've done something and it feels like I've been paid for something I've done when I've actually just given an honest recommendation. And especially if I know that I might get a gift, it could affect the way that I write it. It's supposed to be honest, it's supposed to be fair, and it's supposed to be kind of neutral, but you wouldn't write it unless it was positive, right? So you write positive things about someone because you have positive things to say, genuinely, right? Now, in all the times that I've done reference letters for people, for usually work-related reasons, they're applying for a job, and I run a company, and they need a recommendation letter because they want to apply for a different job, and so I'm usually very happy to do that. And I think seriously and deeply about this person and what good things they have brought to the company and their individual positive characteristics, right? It takes time. I usually spend an hour working on it. And then when I send it, if they write back to me, wow, thank you so much for this letter. It means a lot to me. I appreciate you taking your time to write it. I'm so grateful. That's enough. That's all I need. If they then went on to say, and here's a coupon for Dick's Sporting Goods, I would say, no, please, no thank you, no, don't give it to me. I don't want it. It would make me uncomfortable. The showing appreciation is very important, though, so that's different. The gift is that you did something for someone that they needed, that helps them in their life to get something that they need, they want, to their next step, whatever it happens to be. And so the gift of appreciation should be enough for anyone. And if you don't say thank you, that would be rude, right? If you just said, even if you just said thanks and that's it, you didn't say anything else. One time I wrote a serious, heartfelt recommendation letter for someone and they just said thanks and they didn't say anything else. Now I have a negative feeling about that person. I have a negative wave of emotion comes over me when that person talks to me. I can't help it. Because they didn't appreciate how much time I put into it. If they had said, this means a lot to me because I appreciate it so much, I would have felt much better. I know that might make me look sort of petty, but I can't help it. So, if you've asked someone to write a recommendation letter for you, maybe on LinkedIn or wherever, thank them and tell them why what they did has helped you or how it has helped you and why it's so important. And make sure that they know that they did something valuable and then do nothing else. That's my recommendation. Guys, if you have other questions about this kind of thing, let me know in the comments. Also, make sure you hit the like button. That would be much appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe. Check out my courses in the links in the description. Good question. Am I saying your name correctly, Yoon Young Lee? Is that the right way to say it? Is it Young Young or Young? I don't know how to say it correctly, and I would love to know the correct pronunciation. Okay, WWE Lover says that's not the case. I have a problem with my foot. Okay, for a long time, it's hard to explain why I asked for a video, and I know this website is called WikiFeet. That's right. That's what it's called. You know it. Okay, well, why do you know it? Huh? Why do you know it? You could say the same thing about me. Why do you know it, Luke? Yeah, that's a good question. Why do I know it? I might be a closeted foot lover. Who knows? No, not really. I don't get it. Feet smell so bad, right? And they're weird looking things. Well, if you can contact me on Facebook or something, then I would be happy to be more specific. But other than the description that I gave, I don't know what to say. If it's a specific bone or something like that, I'm not sure. Sure thing. Mohammed says, I heard on YouTube channel first that the secret to be fluent is to learn phrasal verbs. I would not say that. In fact, I once knew someone this is a good one to bring up. It's not the secret. 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 But I'm glad you mentioned it. I get those negative feelings from people. Yeah. Please pronounce my name, please. Tirth Valodra. Tirth Valodra. Tirth Valodra. Valodra or Valodra. I don't know. Let me know. You tell me. Ahmed says, could you tell me how to fix my structure? Not quite sure what you mean by structure there. Which structure? Is your house falling down? My recommendation would be to hire some workers to come over to your house and fix it. Because otherwise, if your ceiling falls down, that's going to be bad. Get some help quickly. Call a construction team, ASAP. Please explain a little bit of these terms. Narrative, perspective, subliance, and assonance. I've never heard of... Oh, sibilance. Sorry, sibilance and assonance. Sibilance and assonance. I do not know these two words. I've never heard of them in my entire life. Sorry. Should I know those? I guess I should. If you know them, I should know them, but I don't know them. That's so sad for me. Second one. But now I don't remember what the second one was. What is the second thing I said? Valodra. Valodra. Tirth Valodra. Okay, cool. Got it. Thanks. Cool. People on Facebook are like, huh? Okay. Mohammed says, I heard on YouTube that the secret to be fluent is to learn phrasal verbs. Is this correct? It is 100% not correct. If you were just repeating phrasal verbs and you said endless phrasal verbs, you would make no sense. It would be nonsense. People would look at you like you're insane. What is this, right? I want to sort of explain why someone might think this and why it's not correct. But I also want to say that there's some truth to this. It just has to be placed in a certain context, okay? So, what is a phrasal verb? Phrasal verb is when we have a verb plus a preposition, or a verb plus usually an adverb. And it is very contextual, it's very cultural, and usually it has several meanings, like come across. Come across could be the way that people feel about you. It could be to walk from here to over there, for example, a plaza. It could be all kinds of different things. To discover something by accident. It has different names, right? Come across. Different meanings, rather, not names. It has different meanings. And every phrasal verb, almost every phrasal verb, does have more than one meaning. So the idea that I think Muhammad is getting at is that because they're often cultural and they're very native and they're kind of idioms, that if you use them here and there instead of regular words, sometimes that can make you sound more native or more fluent. And that's true, I guess. But I want to just counter that with an example of someone who used tons of phrasal verbs and expressions all the time. I had a colleague at an English training center who was so obsessed with learning American idioms, phrasal verbs, and expressions that he tried to stuff them and jam them into every single sentence that he said. 2 or 3 per sentence. And it was so unnatural. Nobody tries to force idioms. And think about your own language, right? When you speak your own language, if an idiom comes out of your mouth, you weren't trying to put it in there. It had to flow out naturally because it fit the situation and it fit your way of expressing yourself, right? He tried to jam so many into every sentence, eventually I couldn't bear it. I asked the director of the center to have me move offices. And I told that person many times, this is insane what you're doing. You think you're sounding more natural by jamming all of these expressions into one sentence, but you sound like a crazy person. You sound insane when you talk like that. It's not natural. No native English speakers do what you're doing. I don't know what you're trying to do, but please stop. And he wouldn't stop. So I had to eventually ask to be moved to another office. That sounds crazy, but it's true. Okay. Now, how should we think about phrasal verbs? How should we think about idioms and expressions? What is the right approach to this? You should learn them, as many as possible, for a couple of reasons. Number one, you do hear them often. You read them often. You see them in movies and TV shows and online, right? Memes and on the internet, wherever. They're everywhere. And so, learning them and their different meanings will give you a special connection to native English in that you will understand more of it. So they're very important to learn. You will understand more native spoken English when you hear it. Normally, when you hear phrasal verbs, you might understand both words, but you think, what does that mean in this situation? I don't understand. Because this phrasal verb or this idiom has other meanings, has other uses, right? As I mentioned. Okay, so learn them, yes. But that doesn't mean automatically putting them back to back and using tons of them makes you more natural. What makes someone fluent in English? Is it the amount of words they learn? Is it the number of phrasal verbs that they use in a sentence? Absolutely not. Natural English means expressing exactly what's in your head in a way that comes across to others as smooth, clear, correct grammar, good, clear pronunciation, correct use of words in context, which includes not putting 3 phrasal verbs in one sentence, right? That means using a phrasal verb at exactly the right time because it just popped out of your mouth because you know it so deeply. It came out when it came out naturally. You didn't force it. Doesn't have to be every so often. There's no formula for every 9 sentences you should use an idiom or phrasal verb. Absolutely not. That's the wrong way to think. The right way to think is learn the language so deeply and practice so often that when you speak, the thoughts that are in your head are translated into words out through your mouth in a way that doesn't force you to constantly be self-correcting and thinking too much and worried about your pronunciation. It just flows out, including the grammar. You're talking in the right tenses, right? You're using the right expressions at the right time. Or not. You're using the right words at the right time. Or not. The grammar all fits together. The pronunciation flows. The words are connected together in a natural way. And when people hear you, they feel that you are a good communicator. That is native English. That is fluent English, right? And if we say fluent English equals using this many phrasal verbs this often, get out of town. It's not true. So I understand the sort of spirit of what Muhammad is saying here, but it's very important to clarify that phrasal verbs should be learned so that you understand. That's more important, and not something to force into any sentence, not something to ever force yourself to use. It should be so deeply understood that you find yourself saying it without thinking about it. Oh my God, did I just use that phrasal verb perfectly in the right situation? Yes. Why? Because you learned it so deeply, and because you're so confident in your English, because you practice so often, because you have so many conversations. So hopefully that sheds more light on the way that we should think about idioms and expressions. Very important, but not very important to use at a certain frequency. Okay? Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button if you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can see future videos and live streams. And also, make sure you check out my links for my full courses, which are in the description. Can you speak fluently in Japanese? Absolutely not. 100% no. I don't speak Japanese. It would be cool to speak Japanese, as long as Kat says learning Japanese is not cultural appropriation, but it's not. I was thinking about that after you said that. I know you were joking, but learning a language is cultural appropriation. Wow, that's it. That's a new one for me. That is a crazy concept. Very funny. Very funny. You used almost come out and come across in one sentence. By the way, you are right 100%. Thank you. Yes, I did. So I used they just popped out of my mouth, right? I didn't even notice I was using them. So hopefully it sounded natural. Related to poet, Luke, English literature. Haha, I know it from a famous fitness YouTuber who got his feet photo there. Anyway, I got to go. Nice to meet you. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. Ahmed says, no sentence structure. I meant grammar. Grammar of what, though? Grammar of which thing? Mary McCain says, please explain a little bit of these terms. Oh, I looked at that one already. The R sound. All right, let's talk about the R sound, and this will be our last, I think this will be our last question of the day. Tirth Valadra, I think, says, your R sound is very native. Please teach me how to pronounce it. First, I should say thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Now, it's not a surprise, though, right? Every native speaker who speaks a language as their first language should say all the sounds natively, right? Including the R sound if we're talking about English. So, thank you, although it would be surprising if it weren't true, right? But I see your point. Now, let's talk about the R sound. The English R sound is different from, let's say, the American English R sound is different from other R sounds, including the British English R sound. The British English R sound is more flat, often, than the American one. It's more like, which is different from the American R sound, which is, frosty, frosty, frosty. Forthcoming, forthcoming, right? Reality, reality, reality. Fire, fire, fire. Now, these all might sound a little bit different, I guess, but basically I'm doing the same thing when I reach that specific R sound. The same basic thing. Although I might be doing something slightly different for each word before it and after it. All I'm doing is curling my tongue up toward the roof of my mouth. Now, I'm not actually touching the tip of my tongue on the roof of my mouth. It shouldn't touch, but it has to be curled. So maybe the British sound is where your tongue is like that, and then the American sound is more like that. It's not curled so far back that it's pointed to the back of your throat, because that would be more like That's quite weird, right? It's Now notice also that my mouth is a certain shape. I don't have my mouth totally open wide like this. That sounds weird. That sounds very strange, right? That's not the R sound. It's also not so small and narrow that it sounds like this. That also sounds strange. So the mouth is slightly open in a relaxed way, and the teeth are apart. So my lips are here in a fairly relaxed way. I can push them forward like that sometimes when I'm saying it, like really, really. But I can also say it in a relaxed mouth shape like this. Right? Like fire, because I don't say fire. So the really, I'm doing something different with my lips than I am with fire, fire, fire. The tongue is in basically the same position. The tongue is pointed straight up. So you might have some variations with your lips and your teeth, but you probably won't have any variation with your tongue. Okay? As I mentioned, really, and fire, relaxed here at the end of the word. At the beginning, pushing my lips forward. But the tongue is in the same exact position no matter what. Teeth are here, right? Kind of apart, not together. Sounds a little bit strange. We don't usually clench the teeth when we make the R sound. So that's basically it. And then all you have to do is practice it and make sure when you're practicing it, it sounds kind of the same as mine, right? Frosty, 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 frosty. Fire, 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 fire. Really, 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 really. So practice just those 3 words or a few more until you feel like your sound matches my sound. If you like my pronunciation and you want to practice my pronunciation, just keep doing that until you feel it's comfortable. Now, the trick is not just learning the sound and learning where to put your tongue and how to hold your mouth. It's about doing it in a way that becomes a habit. One of the problems is people learn pronunciation. They learn how to say and then when they're speaking about something, when they're talking about something, they're thinking about so many other things, the grammar and the pronunciation of other words and the idioms they want to use, or whatever it may be, the meaning that they want to express, and then they will then replace the sound with something else, something that they don't want to say, that doesn't sound right? That doesn't sound like the English R sound. And again, I would say, I'm not telling you that the American R is better than the British R. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. I like the British R just fine. So you have to practice it until it becomes such a deep habit that you don't think about it anymore. If you don't think about it and it comes out correctly, naturally, you are in good shape. Anything pronunciation related must become a habit. You shouldn't be thinking about pronunciation in any way, not even slightly. And if you are, then you haven't practiced it enough. Okay? So listen to other R sounds, repeat mine, listen to mine, just listen to examples and try to imitate and copy and imitate and copy. Shadowing is a good method you can try. And the more you practice it, the easier it will get, but it's very important to be self-aware enough to be able to notice the difference between what you're trying to copy, and your own sound. You have to be able to notice yourself. If you can't notice the sounds that you're making compared to what you're trying to say, then it's not going to work. You're never going to get it, right? Because you're not doing the right thing. It's wrong. You have to be extremely self-aware and change your mouth until it sounds right. They sound the same. Okay? All right. So hopefully that's clear. Guys, if you haven't already, I would appreciate if you could hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe so that you can see future videos, and also check out my full English courses, especially pronunciation courses. I have 2 pronunciation courses right now available on my website. Each of them is 3 hours long. One focuses on basic sounds. I would strongly recommend it. The other focuses on flowing from one word to the next so that the whole sentence sounds very natural. So check out those courses in the link in the description, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. By the way, guys, this is the last time I will mention it. Those courses are available on my website at a 90% discount for the next 4 days. And so that will expire soon, and there are only 20 90% discount coupons available. So if you click on the link in the description, you will see that the price for all of the courses combined is 90% cheaper. It'll show you the price difference. You'll see the original price, and you will see a discounted price. There are only 20 of those. Only the first 20 people who buy that package of all of my courses together can get it. And after that, no more. No more. Okay? So make sure you check those out. That is in the link in the description. It is a link. Okay? It's a coupon link, special coupon link. Only 20. The first 20 people. After that, gone. Gone, 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 gone forever. And then the price will go back up. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome, Tirth. Thanks for the great question. Much appreciated. Eddie says, hi, I'm following you from Guatemala. Do you have live videos every week at this time? Thank you. I'm going to be waiting for your next videos. Yeah, every week, yes. 2 to 3 times a week. Next year, I'm going to be doing hopefully more per week, right? I've been doing 2 to 3 because I'm busy making more courses. But I'm definitely going to be doing additional live streams once I finish this series of courses I'm working on. I spend a lot of my time working on full courses, on my full courses. That's what I spend most of my time on. It's very time consuming. And so if you want to follow me, that's great. And I will try to do at least 2 for the next, say, 6 months, at least 2, sometimes 3 live classes per week. And you said, is it at this time? Usually it's a little earlier. Usually it's 2:30, something like 2 to 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. Another thing I want to do eventually is get it to a very set, stable time. It's just that my schedule is so messed up that sometimes I start earlier, sometimes I start later. So the best way to know is just follow the channel. And if you're interested in, if you feel like you missed some things or you didn't catch a stream, I usually cut out some of the questions people ask and do it as a separate clips channel, which I post every day on a separate channel. So if you go to the main page of Cloud English on YouTube or Facebook, actually, then you can see those sections of live streams as well. People have asked me to do that, so I have started doing that. Okay, guys. Well, that's it for today. Thank you all for your great questions. If you missed the video at the start of the live stream, I'll probably post that elsewhere separately. So check out, wait for that pretty soon. And if you have any questions about anything, just let me know in the comments or on Facebook. That's fine too. Those of you watching on Facebook, you can follow the Facebook page in addition to subscribing on YouTube. And as I mentioned, sale on the courses, very limited time, 20 available, then gone, and that is expiring in 4 days. And I would appreciate, guys, if you haven't already, like, hit the like button. That would be great. And I will see you next time. We will do another one this week. Don't worry. We will definitely do another one, probably on Thursday or Friday. Probably Thursday. All right, guys. Take it easy. Have a good one. Thanks, Lolly. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Oh, I knocked my headphones down. Yikes.